Good morning, my compadres. It's Rebecca, coming to you live with another video that I hope is going to resonate with you. And I've been giving it a lot of thought as I prepared to share this message with you about failure versus testing. And since I started my business just over 8 years ago, I've done a lot of both failure and testing. So, so the first thing is if this message you're like, okay, wait a second, either I have to listen to this, or you know someone who might be either struggling with the sense of are they in the right stage, are they somehow failing in life, please do share. And the reason I ask you to do that is because if you share it, it means you like it, and then I'll produce more content along these lines. And if you don't share it, then I'll just come up with another message that hopefully will resonate a little bit more. So, I've just made a couple of notes about failure versus testing. And so if I'm looking down, that's kind of what I'm referring to, because I really want to make sure I don't forget to convey the difference. Failure is not showing up. Failure is sitting on the sidelines and watching the game being played, but not actually getting into the action. And usually failure crops up in our lives because we're afraid. We're afraid of maybe how other people will look at us. We're afraid of the stories that maybe we have been told about ourselves that aren't true, that aren't necessarily true at all, but we've convinced ourselves that that is our truth. And so we sit on the sidelines and we do nothing. So failure is not in making mistakes. Failure is not in stuff not working out. To me, the one and only reason we fail is because we don't do anything. We don't take action. And for a long time, I failed miserably because I was raised with, my dad, you go to university, you get a job, and you go up the corporate ladder. But I kept getting fired. I was like the world's worst employee. It's not that I didn't play nice in the sandboxes. I was like the most undiplomatic person you'd ever met in your entire life. And I couldn't fit a square peg, round hole, and it just was not working. And so my failure was continuing to like beat my head against that window going, okay, no, I'll go to another company, I'll get another job, I'll do something entirely different. But it never worked. It never worked. And finally, it was because I actually went through a divorce, which was, again, a different kind of a failure, that we sold the house and I had some money and I thought, well, I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to give this a try. Failure would have been to continue to, after my 6th job, to get a 7th, an 8th, a 9th, and a 10th, because basically what I was doing was creating a horrible negative story that something was wrong with me. And that was a huge issue. So let's talk again in a different way about testing. So testing is entirely different. Testing is being able to overcome that negative perspective about yourself, or a negative story you've been telling yourself, and take action anyway. It's not that you don't make mistakes, but testing is a totally different way of looking at making mistakes or things not working out really well. So over the years, I've actually started 4 different companies, 2 of which failed rather spectacularly. One failed because, the idea was great. It was really, really sound. I brought on a whole bunch of partners, and even though I put in nearly $100,000 worth of my own money and I had to walk away from it entirely, the partnerships weren't working. The product wasn't going to be, it just wasn't something I thought was going to succeed. And in the end, I had to walk away from it. But I don't regret that for a single minute, because I consider that an amazing learning opportunity. I'm like, okay, me and partnerships, we don't get on so well. My mistake was I did it again, and I got another partner. I didn't invest any money, so I thought I was being all like smart and savvy. No. What happened was, again, I hooked myself up with a partner, and it didn't work. Part of that was a story I'd been telling myself for a very, very long time, was I was a good second in command, that I didn't have what it took to actually run my own business and be self-sufficient, and be successful. And I had internalized that story so much as part of who I was, that even though I could have had opportunities to, again, focus on the one business that I did build myself, I was distracting myself with these other things because I thought, well, maybe I'll be better at that because I'm not good at being, number one in my organization. So once I finally, after those two spectacular failures, decided that, okay, I think that's enough testing for me. I'm just going to do what I want to do with my own business. That's when it really scaled. That's when things really turned around for me and made a huge difference. So when you look back at the people that did all the testing, like Thomas Edison, if I've got my numbers right, he tried 3,000 times to create the light bulb before he got it right. Do we consider him a failure? Absolutely not. But he kept trying. And that's why it's not failure, it's testing. And so depending on what you're going through with your life, whether you're not sure if you're going to get that next promotion, or you're not too sure if you should, create that side hustle to get some more money, or you want to start your own business, or you want to scale your business. The difference between failure and testing is a little bit of courage and some action. Because as long as you're moving forward, then you're not failing at all because you're showing up. That's the only thing you need to do to not fail, is to show up. And nothing was more real to me than in the past 6 months where I stopped working out. I used to work out regularly. It was great. I was, going to the gym, but then I fractured my foot. And then I got a grade 2 quad strain, and then I got sick, and basically I haven't worked out. So what I did was I brought up, I'm going to move the camera so you can see this thing. I actually brought this thing into my living room. This is my death machine. It's that Bowflex M5. I don't know. It's like I said, I call it the death machine because it totally kicks my butt. I wasn't using it because it was downstairs. I was giving myself excuses for why I wasn't going to show up and actually take care of myself. My foot healed, didn't do anything. My quad strain never would have stopped me from using this thing, but I said, I'm too injured, or I'm going to make it worse. And I didn't even try. And then I got sick and I thought, well, forget it. I'm sick and I can't do it. When I finally stopped, so not this week, but last week, I went through a horrible funk, and I let negative emotions run my life instead of controlling those and deciding how I was going to feel. So there's two things you have in life. You have emotions, which are usually automatic. They're very physical, and they can either be euphoric or incredibly depleting. And then there are feelings. And the feelings are the choices you make on how you're going to deal with those emotions. And when you're looking at overcoming failure and turning it into testing, that one piece of the puzzle of taking the natural and sort of the visceral emotions you're feeling and deciding how you're going to feel about those, that's when you take control, and that's usually when you show up. So this past Friday, I decided that I was still sick. I didn't care. I was going to bring this thing up. It weighs 6,000 pounds. It was me, my husband, and my stepson who all brought it up together. And part of out of obligation that they'd actually gone through that much effort to pull this thing up here, but also because I needed to do something. I needed to just start. And if I started, I'd probably keep on going. And that completely has turned me around. I have more energy. I have more focus. I've come up with a whole bunch of new ideas just in the past 4 days. And all I had to do was do one thing. And so when you're looking at whatever you're working on right now, right? So again, it could be a project, it could be a presentation, it could be an event, it could be, again, a promotion, starting a new business, scaling what you've got. The most important thing for you to do is show up. And that takes a lot of courage, and that also takes the requirement to beat down any kind of a negative story you're telling about yourself, because that story is not true. No matter how many people have told you that, the story is not true. And that's a constant battle for me, day in and day out, to convince myself that the negative story that I inculcated for so many years is not actually true. And then to just do something, even if it's a small thing, if it's making a call, if it's booking an appointment, if it's just doing some research, but just take that forward step. Because even if you don't achieve success with that one step, you're moving forward. And that forward momentum can carry you. And the more little steps you take every single day means that even if things don't work out, it's not a failure, because you showed up, you took action, and guaranteed you will have learned something from that. So like I said, if you found this helpful, I'm so happy. Please do share this if you think that there's other people out there who like it. If you have any other suggestions for any other kind of topics you want me to share, I'm always open, because I live and I exist to make sure that if ever I've done something or I've come up against something and I can prevent one single person from going through that, I'll consider it a life well lived. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I hope to see you soon.